Hello, this is Michael Kraut with Idea Dudes, and this is the Windows 2008 Server configuration, and this is a course introduction. Windows 2008 Server is a registered trademark of Microsoft Corporation. So, this is what we're going to be going over in this course. We're going to be looking at Windows 2008 Server installation and configuration from the ground up. When we say from the ground up, what we're talking about is doing the installation. We're going to take you through the different processes, all the different steps that you need to get a Windows Server 2000 or 2008 server up and running. And so we're going to go through things such as administration. We're going to be looking at the server core. We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. So this should be pretty fun. Now, one of the things that this is going to do, though, is this is going to prepare you for the 7640 exam and the real world. Now, I've been working with Windows 2008 Server since the beginning. I was on the exam team for the 70-640. Now, the 70-640 also has a sister exam, which is the one that you have to do on hands-on. So we'll be talking about different things that you have to do to get the hands-on part of the exam also, because you're going to have to actually connect to a server in Seattle, and you're going to do all the modifications as if you were in the real world. So that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind, that there are some multiple guests, but you're also going to have the hands-on experience. And this course is also going to get you ready for when you're back in your office and you have to configure that Windows Server 2008. So this is the first part of a three-part course. So we'll have 3 parts to the configuration. You'll learn to install Windows 2008 Server. We'll also look at the administration, working with users and groups, and managing computer accounts. So you'll be able to learn the different types of groups, such as a domain local group, or a global group, or a universal group. You'll be able to differentiate between all the groups and the difference between a security group and a distribution group. And also how important a computer account is, and why do we need a computer account, and why should we move it from the default computers container and put it into a group policy, or an organizational unit, so we can apply a group policy. So we're going to work with the core server or server core, and this is going to allow us to be able to lock down our environment. When I say lock down, if you remember Windows NT, Windows 2000, and they had full control with the Everyone group, and then with Windows 2003, they had authenticated users. Now with Windows Server or 2008 Server, we have the UAC, User Account Control, and the User Account Control allows us to be able to lock down the server. But we have the server core, or the core server. And the core server, what it allows us to do is allows us to be able to lock down our environment, so the attack surface. And what is the attack surface? Well, we'll be talking more about this, but when you think of the attack surface, all the different processes or all the different services that you put on top of that computer, what it's doing is opening up the attack surface. And so the attack surface, when we're looking at like 3389, that's RDP, remote desktop. Or if you're connecting to a domain controller, you got 88, which is Kerberos. We got 3268, which is a global catalog. We also have the 53 for DNS, or 389 for LDAP for the domain controller itself. What about FTP 2021, POP3, when you're dealing with the email server, 110. So these are all the different services that you're putting it on there. And what you're doing is you're opening up the attack surface. With the server core, what it does is it limits what you can put on to the actual server core. You can put DHCP, you can put DNS, you can put Active Directory, you can put a Hyper-V server on the server core, which is even going to lock down your environment even more. So we're going to talk about those different things. Then we're going to talk about implementing a Windows 2008 Server Active Directory infrastructure. And so you'll get to understand what a directory service is and how we work with Active Directory. So the first thing we're going to be looking at, or one of the course objectives, is you're going to be able to install and configure a Windows 2008 server. You're going to be able to understand what is the installation process, which the installation process is pretty simple. You just put the DVD in and you just wait for it to install. But what you can do is you can make it so that you can change how you do the installation. You can make it so it's unintended. That means so that you don't have to be there when you're doing the installation. So we're going to implement a Windows Server 2008 Active Directory. We're going to configure and maintain user accounts. So that means creating them. We'll be using CSVDE, LDIFD, using Windows PowerShell. Design and implement and maintain user group accounts. So the ones like I was talking about, like a domain local or a universal group or a global group, and the security and distribution groups. Modifying and maintaining computer accounts. Talk about what's the importance of computer accounts. Describe the importance of computer accounts. Troubleshoot computer accounts. And then our course prerequisites, this is it. Basic TCP/IP knowledge and just knowing the basics of navigation of Windows. If you know the navigation of Windows and a little bit about Windows 2003, then you'll be able to take this course and be able to apply the knowledge that you have or you're getting and apply it to your real-world situations. So the module topics, this is what we're going to be looking at with the different modules. Installing Active Directory domain services. So we're going to talk about a domain controller. What is a domain controller? What are the different things associated with domain controllers? Like organizational units. What are they? What about a forest? Or a tree? Or a domain? These are all concepts that we're going to go over so that you understand what is Active Directory. Because if you haven't worked with Active Directory, this may be your first time. You may have done stuff with Windows 2003, but you really weren't given control. Well, we're going to give you control. We're going to show you how to take control, how to be able to be more efficient with the Windows 2008 server and the Active Directory. So we're going to look at Active Directory domain on the server core and how we can lock down our Active Directory so that the services that we can take the security configuration wizard and we can take that and we can lock down our Active Directory. We're going to look at the Active Directory snap-ins like Active Directory users and computers, which we call ADUC. Also Active Directory domain services. We'll be looking at Active Directory domains and trusts. We'll be looking at Active Directory sites and services. So we'll be looking at the different tools, Active Directory schema, snap-in, all the different snap-ins, which a snap-in is just a DLL, dynamic link library, that we put into an MMC, Microsoft Management Console. We'll look at object creation in Active Directory, security and delegation of Active Directory objects. You know how you may want to be able to take and give responsibility to somebody else? Well, that responsibility is what is known as delegation. And delegation, hey, a lot of us, what we want to do is go play golf. Well, if you want to go play golf and give your responsibility to somebody else, pay attention to this area. Automating the creation of user accounts. We'll be looking at CSVDE, LDIFD, VB scripting. We'll be looking at Windows PowerShell. I mean, there's all different types of tools, and we're going to show you how to use a template and all the different things to make it so that you can create those user accounts. We'll also be looking at creating users with Windows PowerShell, supporting user objects and accounts, creating and managing groups, automating the creation and management of groups, again using CSVDE, LDIFD, VB scripting, and also PowerShell, administering groups in an enterprise. The thing is what we want to do is we want to lower your total cost of ownership. So in this course, we're attempting to help you to lower your total cost of ownership, making it so you can automate some of these different abilities or different things these different tasks that you have to do on a Windows 2008 server. Creating computer and computers and joining a domain. You think, well, that's pretty easy. All you do is go in and change and put the domain in. Well, that is part of it. But why do we have to move it from the computer's container over to an OU? We're going to talk about all the different things that are connected with modifying or working with computers in the computer account, supporting computer objects and accounts. So you have lab exercises that can be downloaded from the paperclip link. So just click on it. You'll be able to download the exercises. What they'll do is they'll give you what your minimum hardware requirements or what you have to actually have to set up the environment. Because what we're doing, again, we're going to build a Windows 2008 server environment up from the ground up. And so that's what we're going to be doing in the Windows 2008 server configuration. If you have any questions or comments, you can put those in the GoGo box. They're at the bottom of the video. So let's get started.